So folks, here we are. This is our first venture on YouTube.
Yes, so we're actually recording the different parts of this podcast to post onto YouTube so that people can view them for their viewing pleasure. So right now we're going to be getting into the actual topic, which is the Crusade of the Cosplayer, giving you a little bit of history on the concept of cosplay, a couple of different types of cosplay that you may encounter in your cosplay adventures, and you'll be able to find this on YouTube later on in the week.
Exactly. So for those of you watching, hey.
Hi, we're talking to you across time right now because you may be hearing this before you see the video.
Indeed, indeed,
It's
indeed.
amazing.
It is. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So to begin, we're going to talk about a couple of different types of cosplay that you may encounter upon your cosplay adventures.
Now, I know some of you are saying, well, wait a minute, don't you guys normally start with fun facts? No, we're going to pepper them throughout today.
Yeah, we're doing a little bit different today. This whole podcast is going to be completely different to what you're normally used to. So,
Yeah.
But we hope you enjoy it.
We hope you do. But we're going to start with, first of all, we're going to start with the basic two types. You have what is called cosplay, and then you have what is called OC cosplay.
Which, of course, is an original character.
Right.
Of your own design.
Now, under each of these two headings, you have multiple categories.
Indeed.
Multiple.
Like dozens upon dozens of different things that you can look at and see in those particular categories.
Right. So we're going to start with on the cosplay side. Under the cosplay side, you have not quite as many categories as you do under the OC because original character is original.
Yeah.
There's so many different facets you can go with.
Lots of leeway you have when you create your own character.
Now, we're not going to discuss every single topic because we're going to pepper one of those fun facts in now. Depending on which convention you attend, which Comic-Con or Sci-Fi Con, whatever you happen to attend.
Your local con, whatever the case may be.
Right. There can be over 30 categories for awards at any given convention.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about stuff as specific as best prop. Stuff as, best OC or something along the lines of best construction, like somebody building something themselves. It could be any number of categories to give awards for.
Now, if you thought the awards was interesting, we went to multiple sources to find out exactly how many different types of cosplayers existed.
Yes.
How many different categories. We went to multiple sources and we had to come up with an average.
We did.
And the average is 30.8. Now, obviously, you can't have 0.8 of a category.
Well, you could, but it's like you're only wearing 0.8% of a costume.
Well, that's 80% of your body. That works.
Yeah. So, if you wear everything but a hat and shoes,
so
that's your 80% cosplay.
80% of a cosplay. You know what? We're going to round that off to the average is 31. 31 different
31 it is.
31 categories of cosplayers. Math is fun.
Yeah, it is.
Whee! Okay. But no, seriously. Under regular cosplay, you have movie character, you have TV character, you have superhero or villain, you have anime, you have sci-fi, you have video game.
Yes. Any one of those things, snatch a character from it, recreate their costume, my friend, you're cosplaying.
Right. And there are many subcategories under each one. You have Star Trek cosplay under sci-fi. You have Star Wars cosplay under sci-fi.
Lord of the Rings under adventure, movie.
Right.
Talk about Marvel, DC, all those things. Tons of things you can do in those categories.
Right. So it's pretty broad, but we're going to hit the kind of high spots of each of these.
Yep.
So now, also, for those of you watching, we're going to talk about OC cosplay just a little bit right now.
Yes.
But we are actually going to show you some pictures that we have found.
Yes, visual representation of what we're actually discussing.
Okay, now the first category we're going to discuss a little bit is gender bent. Now, this is not what you think it is, folks. A lot of you are automatically thinking drag play.
Yes,
that is
which is
not,
something completely different.
Which is something completely different and is a form of cosplay.
Yes, so gender bent is when you take a traditionally female character and portray them as a male, or you take a traditionally male character and portray them as a female.
Now, for those of you listening to the podcast, we will describe it to you, but for those of you watching, there you go.
Yes.
What we have right here is we have a picture of a gentleman who is dressed like Harley Quinn, but what he is actually doing is he is a man who is dressing up in a very similar manner to Harley Quinn.
Yeah, so if Harley Quinn had been male, this is what he would look like.
At least in this person's mind, which is actually, it's a very good representation. So if you're listening to this, wait till the video comes out and you'll get a really good look at this.
Yes. And so our next category is what we would like to call humanized or human variant. Now in that one, we do need to make mention that in that particular vein is what you would find the furry cosplay in.
Now, we need to make a very important distinction right here, right now.
Yes.
And it's going to take a minute, so just bear with us on this tangent. Now, when most people hear furry, most people think of the erotic, furry genre of cosplay.
Yes.
Now, there is that.
Yes.
And we're going to acknowledge it.
We have acknowledged it.
It's an art form. It may be for a different reason, but
Yes.
now, for those that cosplay in furry cosplay just for that being their form of expression, there's nothing erotic about it. It's just how you choose to express yourself creatively.
Yes.
You are actually falling under the category of humanized or human variant, but there are those of you that do refer to yourselves as furry, and which is fine.
Absolutely.
Absolutely fine. And there are those in the cosplay community that do refer to that as furry.
Yes.
Which is fine.
So
but
it's almost sort of like if you remember in English class when you learned that term anthropomorphism, where you give human qualities to non-human objects. This is sort of like what we're talking about here. Like, if you were to cosplay, like if you cosplayed as a tree, that's a humanized item.
Right.
It's very popular among people who like to cosplay Pokemon.
Right.
Yeah. And so we're going to provide you with an image right now.
And as you can see, there are several different examples. Now, my favorite in this picture is the woman who is dressing as a mushroom.
Yes.
As you can see.
Well, actually, that is Bulbasaur.
Oh, really? Is
Pokemon,
that?
yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, she's dressed like Bulbasaur.
Okay, so
She's a Southern Belle Bulbasaur. A Bellasaur.
a Bellasaur.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm an idiot. First of all.
No, you're not. I had to take a couple looks at it myself, but yeah.
Yeah, but you can see the different types of cosplay here, and it's actually really interesting.
It very much is.
So, moving on from that, now we're going to go to fan art inspired. Now, a lot of people think, well, fan art inspired, isn't that really OC? Well, it can be. This is when it kind of falls into a gray area where it kind of goes under both, but we're going to put it under cosplay for one very simple reason. This is fan art of characters you are familiar with from movies, anime, comic books, television, what have you.
Right.
And somebody has drawn a fan art concept of the person doing something they don't normally traditionally do, but they're still in their same outfit. They're just portrayed in a very different way.
Yeah, like the first image that came into my mind when I thought about this was I saw a piece of fan art online where a guy had done a steampunk version of Iron Man. And there was a guy who actually recreated that costume from that art and made his own version of Iron Man with it. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. It's a non-traditional representation of a traditional cosplay.
Right. Or it can also be as simple as taking a picture of Helen of Troy in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Yeah.
Because neither one existed at the same period of time.
Exactly. And so now you're Helen of Troy and you're in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
So there you go. And just to show you an example of what we're talking about, we're going to hold that picture up for those of you watching on YouTube.
Yes. So on, I'm not sure what side that will be for you. I'm assuming on your left, you would see the fan art, and then on the right, you would see the recreation of it by the very talented cosplayer, because that is spot on.
That is absolutely phenomenal work. Now, the next one we're going to talk about is...
That's my favorite.
Mashup.
Yes.
Now, mashup is kind of what Jerry just alluded to, but it's actually a bit more specific than that. To give you the only example I can really think of that really hits the nail on the head,
Yes.
It's the one we're actually showing on our YouTube broadcast.
Yes, and for those of you who can't see it yet or aren't going to see it at all for whatever reason, it's a Buzz Lightyear Stormtrooper. Yeah, and whatever you're picturing in your head right now, that's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah, it is a Stormtrooper who has the Buzz Lightyear wings.
Yes, the Buzz Lightyear control panel on the chest.
Right, and even the little laser fire button on the arm.
Yes.
Designed into it, built
Carrying
into
a blaster.
it. Carrying a blaster.
The real question is can the Stormtrooper hit anything with either laser? I'm going to go ahead and say no.
I'm going to go with no also.
Yes. And I think we've already addressed this in one other podcast, but how in the world did an entire group of people who were, cloned from the world's greatest bounty hunter have such crappy aim? I'll never understand it.
It's just going to be one of those things that it's just going to boggle the human mind forever.
It will indeed.
Okay, but we're going to go two more categories here, folks.
Yes, the next one is also my second favorite. This next one is what we like to refer to as alternate universe cosplay.
Now, where we talked just a minute ago about the steampunk Iron Man, it falls under the category of fan art inspired.
Yes.
But it also crosses the line into this category. So go ahead, Jerry.
Think about like if you were a fan of comic books and you read like all the old what if comics, like what if so and so, like what if what if Thor had never been able to wield Mjolnir, stuff like that. So what this does is they take a concept of a traditional character, and then they place it in an alternate universe. The the one example that I can think of, because we've actually got a picture of it right here, are the Disney princesses who are attending the different schools of Hogwarts. So they're all four schools are represented there by looks like Ariel, Rapunzel, Jasmine, and Belle. I'm thinking
That's what it looks like.
that's what I think so too. So if you like take even if you wanted to be like Iron Man, dress up as Tony Stark as one of the headmasters of Hogwarts, that is an alternate universe cosplay.
Now, you can also pull alternate universe cosplay from the comics because, or fan art, because as Jerry just mentioned, there was Steampunk Iron Man.
Yep.
There's also the Gotham by Gaslight series.
Such a good series.
And you have a Steampunk Batman.
Yes.
I mean, that's effectively what it is. It's a Steampunk Batman.
Yeah.
You also have instances in the comic books where Batman was a samurai. And there are just so many more examples we could get into right now, but we're not going to. But you get the idea.
Yes.
Now,
any concept that you can think of taking a traditional character, whatever character may be, and then placing them into a different universe to give a different spin on them, make it totally your own. That's exactly what we're talking about here.
Now, the last one kind of falls under both categories as well, but it requires mentioning because fan art inspired is one thing.
Yes.
Because fan art is you're a fan of somebody, and you do art inspired by who you're a fan of.
Absolutely.
Now, when we talk art inspired, this is the best example I can think of. I forget the artist's name, but there's an artist who painted back in the late 70s, early 80s, this alien that had coiled into a coil. And it was a vicious looking monster. And it was actually the inspiration behind Alien.
Yep. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was H.R. Geiger.
Yeah, Geiger.
Yep.
Geiger, that was him. Thank you. But Geiger just painted, from his own imagination, he created the alien.
Yep.
He didn't know he was creating the alien, but he did.
I hope he got some credit.
He did. He
Yes.
did. But, that inspired the costume for the creature in the movie. But there are people who make and fabricate their own cosplay of the alien and wear it to conventions.
Yes, and it's incredibly detailed.
Now, even though that is movie inspired by transitive property, SAT people,
that's
guess what?
$15.50 right now, folks.
There you go. We're going to get you up there.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what the top score is right now. I think it's like 2,000 maybe, but damn it, we'll get you there eventually.
Yep, we're going to get you there. But just down the line, if you go all the way back, you will actually see it's actually an art-inspired cosplay. Or you can look at a piece of artwork and take like a Picasso painting and dress up as one of his mixed-up looking characters if you wanted to.
Yeah, from his Cubist period.
Right. That is art-inspired.
Yeah, and if you're going to cosplay as a Picasso Cubism painting, please send us photos.
Yeah, we
I
want
really wanna see
photos.
that. I want to see it so bad.
They're going up on Instagram.
Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and let you know that.
Yeah. But
So,
folks,
right now,
go ahead.
Yeah, right now we're going to go ahead and step on another little fun fact here. I'm sure the majority of the cosplay community is familiar with somebody named Jessica Negri. She is considered in many circles to be the most well-known cosplayer. She wins awards at multiple conventions, and she's been hired by the likes of Ubisoft and Kadokawa Games to do her promotions.
And are you ready for this, folks? Ubisoft has actually paid her to actually do the modeling work, like in studio. Like they take pictures of her and use that as the representation in the video game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's phenomenal.
It really is.
Now, we're going to go ahead and throw in another fun fact right now. Now, as just absolutely amazing as Jessica Negri is, she is not the highest paid cosplayer in the world.
No, she is not.
The highest paid cosplayer in the world is Amy Lynn. Now, some of you will know that name, some of you won't. But she makes $290,000 a year.
290,000.
Now, this is obviously an average over so many years because it's going to go up and down because a lot of that comes from convention wins and the cash prizes from that.
Absolutely.
And obviously her hire out work to dress in cosplay for public appearances, whatnot. But yeah, she's the highest paid cosplayer in the world.
Yes.
So for those of you in the cosplay community, I'm not saying you're going to make $290,000 a year, but there's something to aspire to.
Absolutely.
I mean,
There's no reason to think that you can't do it too.
You can make a living off of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, if you find the right niche, find the right character, find the right purpose for your thing or whatever you're going to do, get out there and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And, go ahead, Jerry.
yes. So here we're going to get into the actual history of cosplay. So to start off, we're going to tell you about the actual term cosplay. It was coined by Nobuyuki Takahashi in 1984. He attended the Worldcon in New York City and was so impressed with the display of Masquerade that he wrote an article about it in the publication My Anime. The translation of Masquerade in Japanese is an aristocratic costume, which he didn't think fit the representation of what he witnessed. So he coined the term kosupure, from kosu being the Japanese abbreviation of costume and pure being the abbreviation of play. So costume, play. Kosupure, cosplay.
Isn't that interesting, folks?
Yeah.
You learned something new today.
You did. It's nerddom.
And knowledge. But yeah, that is where the actual term comes from. Now, the concept of cosplay is a little bit older, to say the least.
Just a little bit older. Like a million years old. No, not quite.
Not quite that old. But it actually does date back to the 1300s, January 28th, 1393. Excuse me, 1393.
That was before Columbus sailed the ocean blue.
The Bal des Ardentes, which is the Burning Men's Ball, was held by Charles VI of France and intended as a form of costume ball, or morisco in French. I probably didn't pronounce that properly, but
It's
I'm sorry.
okay. I've actually never seen that word in French before, so I wouldn't know how to tell you to pronounce it either.
It took place as a celebration of marriage of a lady-in-waiting to Charles VI of France's queen in Paris on January 28, 1393. Excuse me. The king and 5 courtiers dressed as wild men of the woods with costumes made of, get this, folks, flax and pitch.
That sounds itchy. Not gonna lie.
And it's a little bit too dangerous because there's a reason they called it the Burning Men's Ball. They did this dance near torches. Torches, folks. You are wearing flax and pitch. If you don't know what pitch is, folks, they use that on roads that they are tarring.
Yes, they also use it on medieval torches to let them burn forever.
So, guess what, folks? If you got too close to a torch, what do you think would happen?
You were gonna become a torch. You'd be cosplaying as the Human Torch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what was gonna happen.
So, that is the very first instance of cosplay in history.
Yes, and they almost died.
Do you think cosplay is worth dying for?
They
Jerry?
did. They were totally into it.
Now, do you think it's worth it?
I don't know. It depends on who I'm dressed as. If I'm dressed as a human tar man, probably not. No, I don't want to die. Just saying. But masquerade balls were a feature of the carnival season in the 15th century and involved increasingly elaborate allegorical royal entries and pageants and triumphal processions celebrating marriages and other dynastic events of late medieval court life. So if you were having a party, you got everybody together and everybody dressed up in some sort of costume. If you were having a wedding, dressed in costumes. Going to a masquerade ball, you dress in a costume. It just became a thing of royalty. Higher courts is what they did to celebrate, events in their lives.
But as far as masquerade balls go, now those were few and far between until the 17th and 18th centuries. Now, in the 17th and 18th centuries, they became especially popular in mainland Europe. Now, the thing about the cosplay in mainland Europe is it actually met with possibly fatal results.
See what we were talking about with the whole torches and things earlier? Yeah.
Well, no, it's not the torches and things.
Oh, nobody caught on fire?
No, well, I mean, they did, but not the way you think.
Oh, man.
It wasn't because of flax and pitch. What actually happened is, in 1792, Gustav III of Sweden was assassinated at a masquerade ball by the disgruntled nobleman Jacob Johann Ankarström.
That's close enough.
Yep. An event which Eugene Scribe and Daniel Albert turned into the opera Gustav III. Now it's great that they made an operetta out of it, but, I mean, a guy lost his life. And why? Because the person who was going to kill him was disguised.
Yes. And if you're disguised, no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
unless it's a really crappy disguise.
So Masquerade Balls started getting kind of a bad reputation because this didn't just happen this one instance. It kind of had a bad tendency to happen.
Yeah, and that same event was the basis of Giuseppe Verdi's opera A Masked Ball, although the censors in the original production forced him to portray it as a fictional story set in Boston. And most of the masks that were used in these sorts of events came from countries like Switzerland and Italy, which were the high place of the design and the fashion at the time.
Oh, yeah. If you wanted the best, that's where you went.
Hey, you wanted a good mask, you come and see me. I'm fixing you up.
Okay, now, very important to note, a Swiss count who arrived in Italy in 1708 is credited with introducing to London the Venetian fashion of the semi-public masquerade ball. Now, when we talk about Venetian, when you think about masquerade balls, what do you normally think of? You normally think of real fancy dresses, just the mask that goes over the eyes, or maybe the plague doctor mask, or something along those
something
lines.
very frilly, lacy, that sort of thing.
Right, very pretty looking, designed to be elegant. Now, it's that type of Venetian style is now more associated with BDSM cosplay, and we had to bring it up. It is a form of cosplay, but we brought you up. We gave you your little moment in the sun.
Yes.
We're going to move on.
Absolutely.
No offense. Just that's not the type of podcast this is.
We're not here to talk about it. That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
In fact, tune in after hours for our BDSM cosplay. No, we're not doing that.
No, we're not. No.
That would not be good for us.
No.
We would offend a lot of people. Like, what are they talking about? We don't know. We have no idea.
But yeah, now the thing is, the first one of these was actually held at Haymarket Opera, the semi-public masquerade ball, to which it was held in London's public gardens. Now, the thing about it is it's normally done in outdoor settings.
Yes.
Which is just interesting. Seeing, this is one of the few times you've actually seen like out in public cosplay, open cosplay.
Yes. Typically, like we said earlier, it was reserved for your bourgeoisie, their parties. Done in private, in rich homes with opulent decorations and very fancy costumes. This is the first time you see it actually being out in public for the world to view.
Right. Now, obviously, if it's being held on, fancier grounds, your common person, your lay person, poor person may not necessarily be privy to be able to see it. But some of your not well-to-do but not poor-to-do may not necessarily be able to see it, but would be more likely to see it, have more accessibility to it.
And not to mention anybody wandering by who happened to be glancing into the garden would see everybody dressed up in these fancy costumes and go, oh, I wonder what's going on. They might stick around and pay attention for a little bit.
Right. So this is pretty much the first instance you're going to see of a open public costume play, or in this case, masquerade.
Yep. And so, like we were saying, where the characters were masked, their fancy dressings, they're mingling with the crowds. Costuming had been a fan activity for a while, but then, of course, we talked about earlier, Nobuyuki Takahashi from Japan, in the 1970s, he takes that information, goes back to Japan with it, and it became much more popular in the wake of Takahashi's report. Like, then everybody's looking into it. Everybody wants to know what he's talking about when it comes to cosplay. Of course, now, the new term that he created did not catch on immediately. However, in the 1990s, after exposure on television and in magazines, the term and the practice of cosplaying became common knowledge in Japan. And I mean, anybody who's ever seen anything about Japan knows the people of Japan are super huge into cosplay.
Oh, and we're going to pepper in one of those fun facts right now. What year do you think the first convention for masquerade/cosplay was? Jerry, what year?
4000 BC.
No.
2500 BC.
No.
2042.
No.
Damn it.
The very first Worldcon, or New York Con as it was labeled, was actually held in 1939, and it was mainly for sci-fi cosplay.
Wow. It's hard to even imagine what kind of sci-fi was around in the 1930s.
Well, there was one movie in particular that it was based off of, and I have misplaced that note. You know what, folks? I apologize. I dropped the ball. I missed that page. So, But yeah, the very first one was held in 1939. Now, during the 1920s and 30s, you did have black and white movies.
Yes.
And you start seeing the advent of some science fiction movies.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of these movies inspired the first New York Con, and there was actually a wealthy-to-do couple. And by the way, I do have it on the research, but if any of you are listening and want to email us that information, feel free.
Yes, we would appreciate it.
Feel free. I know I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, but if you look it up, you'll find it. I promise you'll find it. I'm not lying. But yeah, 1939. So 1939. It is the year 2020 now. How many years is that?
That is 81 years.
It is indeed.
81 years. That's a long time ago.
That is.
I mean, and you think about when you think about cosplay, what it is now, and think about what it was then, like that evolution and progression to what it is today. It's unbelievable.
I forget the guy's name, but there is actually a cosplayer right now who is really famous for going out and dressing up as Bumblebee. He has fabricated a suit that he steps into that is actually about 9 feet, 10 feet tall, that he can actually walk around in and function in. And he goes to Comic-Cons dressed as Bumblebee. He's actually like the third or fourth highest paid cosplayer. He's actually paid for public appearances because of how much he looks like Bumblebee.
Man, I want a Bumblebee suit now.
So do I.
Yeah. Especially if it can transfer into a car and take me places. I'm down.
Oh, yeah.
That would be great. But we're stepping back into Japan now. So in Japan, you can find these things called cosplay cafes. And the first one appeared in the Akihabara area of Tokyo in the late 1990s. A temporary one was set up at the Tokyo Character Collection event in August of 1998 to promote the video game Welcome to Pia Carrot 2. I'm not sure what that video game was about, but I'm imagining it's about a carrot. I don't know. An occasional Pia Carrot restaurant was held at the shop Gamers in Akihabara in the years up to 2000. So the actual cafes themselves were linked to specific intellectual properties, so it limited the lifespan of these cafes, which was ended up solving by using generic ones, leading to the first establishment permanent made for that particular game, which is the Cure Made Cafe, which opened in March 2001. So here you have cosplay, which blew up in Japan, is now inspiring businesses to establish themselves to cater to the cosplay community.
I gotta tell you, folks, a cosplay-themed restaurant, that sounds like a great freaking idea.
It really does. It's like Hooters, but more for the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do too.
I love that idea.
We need to open our own now. We'll call it Nerdum and Knowledge Eats.
I love that.
Yes. What do we serve, though?
We'll come up with a menu.
We're going to serve Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts, I like Pop-Tarts.
Me too. They're good. I'm a big fan of Pop-Tarts.
There's so many flavors, we can have a big menu.
Yeah, our menu's endless. Unless the grocery store's out that week. Then we're screwed.
Now, some of you cosplay enthusiasts and some of you more adept cosplayers will know that there is such a thing as a World Cosplay Summit.
Yes, where all the mightiest cosplayers meet to do battle.
No.
No?
No. They just get together.
To take over the world.
No.
No.
It is actually a convention that is specifically for cosplayers. It is not for comic books. It is not for movies. It is not for TV. It is just for cosplayers and cosplayers only. There are many different contests and competitions. Now, the first one was held on October 12th, 2003 at the Rose Court Hotel in Nagoya, Japan, with 5 cosplayers invited from Germany, France, and Italy. There were no contests until 2005 when the World Cosplay Championship began. And that's where it gets interesting, folks.
Yes, so now you got to understand something. This is a invitation-only cosplay tournament.
It is the Mortal Kombat for cosplayers.
Yeah, you can't just show up you can't be any geek off the street, man. You got to be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean, and earn your keep. That's from the regulators. Mount up.
There you go.
Yeah, I know we're white. But, so, you have to be invited to this. There's no just showing up. So you have to be top tier, best of the best when it comes to getting cosplay in this place.
And the first winners, they actually had a group that won. And the first group was an Italian team of Giorgia Vicini, Francesca Dani, and Emily Fatalevia.
Yes, so a 3-man team. I'm sure they did probably some kind of team cosplay. They took home the championship.
And folks, I found my note. The first World Con was held in 1939 at Caravan Hall in New York City.
See, told you he had it. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah, we found it eventually. It was at the end.
Yeah.
Because that's where you end, is at the end.
I don't know why I put it at the end, but it was there.
Yes.
We had it. That's the point.
So, for those of you who are listening at home, what we're about to say right now is going to be followed by some interviews. So, we hope you enjoyed them.
We hope you certainly enjoy everything about the show, not just the information that we're sharing with you, but these interviews as well. We hope you enjoy it all.
Yeah. When we tell you that this has been a labor of love today,
it's not a stretch of the truth.
It's taking a lot of effort on our part, but you know what? We're doing it for you guys, so we hope you enjoy it very much because we have enjoyed doing it for you.
And we will definitely appreciate any feedback, good or bad.
Yes, but before we adjourn to the interviews, it is time, James.
It is time for the Nerd Nest.
It's so good.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, man. So, with the addition of this week's gift, which is a $25 Amazon gift card, our total for the Nerd Nest is now almost at $800.
800. That's 2 zeros, folks.
Yeah, not
4
80.
if you use the decimal point.
Exactly. So if you think about that, that's $800 worth of gifts and prizes for you, or to share among your family members, or to give to people for Christmas presents, or to set on fire, if that's what you want to do. We're not going to tell you how to live your dream, okay?
Don't let anyone, as my friend would say, don't let anyone hide your light under a bushel basket.
Yeah, definitely don't do that, because you never should. So, how do you win the Nerd Nest, James?
You email us.
Yes.
At NAK@nerddomandknowledge.com. That's NERDOMANDKNOWLEDGE.com.
Yes. 38 straight. 38 straight. Say it with me. 38 straight. 38 straight. 38 straight.
All right.
No. So, or you can email us at nerddomandknowledge@gmail.com. We do check both. With this week's keyword, which is
Masquerade.
yes.
And that is MASQUERADE.
And he didn't even look at the paper to do that. Y'all doubt his skills. We coming up in here doubting his skills, son. No, so of course, go to the email us with the podcast keyword, include the name of the podcast, Crusade of the Cosplayer, so we know which one you're talking about, and then do that, and every entry you send us for every podcast is an entry into the pot. Now, once we hit 150 listens or 150 downloads in a single episode, which James and I have a feeling that this is going to be the episode that does it.
This is the hill I'm going to die on, folks.
Yes.
This is going to be the episode that's going to do it.
This is the hill upon which you shall die.
Yes.
So, when this episode eventually hits 150 listens, which we're almost certain it's going to because of the topic and how much you guys love it, that's going to trigger the Nerd Nest giveaway. We're going to go take those entries, we're going to put their drop in the hat, and then we're going to give it away. Give it away, folks. Give it away, give it away, give it away now.
Now, what that is actually, folks, is that's not only good news, but that's actually a little bit of a warning to you.
Yes.
You might want to go ahead and get those entries in. And by the way, feel free to send us one email with every keyword.
Yes, we've had that done multiple times.
And we have no problem with that. We take it.
Yes, we even had one person who sent us an email. They had skipped through listening to the episodes, so they had gotten like 8 out of the 14 keywords from the episodes. Then they sent us a second email where they had copied the first email and filled in the gaps of the episodes that they went back and listened to. So we don't care how you get it to us. Just get it to us. Okay? And remember, once we give away Nerd Nest 1, we start Nerd Nest 2 Electric Boogaloo. Because the party don't stop, folks. We're going to keep giving stuff away because we love it.
Ain't no party like an NAK party because an NAK party don't stop.
Word. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Those
Sorry,
beats
dude.
are fresh.
Yeah, they're dope. Straight fire, son. God, we're so white.
Oh, God, it's so bad.
Yes. I apologize to anyone who's listened to the past 2 minutes.
Record the end.
Okay, folks. That was it.
That was it, and I gotta tell you, we are not disappointed.
No,
not
so
at
epic,
all.
so good.
We want to go ahead and just real quick, we want to thank Sarah Phoenix Official,
Thank you, Sarah.
the Swedish Lady,
Thank you, Swedish lady.
and Ashley Purple Fox Official.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
all
so much.
3 of you, thank you so very much for joining us. Especially you, Swedish Lady, because we had the electronical snafu, and
Yes.
you saved our asses. Thank you.
You really did. And so, from the bottom of our hearts, you guys will never know how much it means to us that you guys agreed to take some time out of your day and be on this podcast with us. It means the world to us. You guys are always heroes in our book. Till the day we die, we will stand for you. I promise you that.
Absolutely. So, folks, this is the end. Don't forget, send us those emails with the interest to the NAK Nerd Nest Challenge.
Yes.
And don't forget, you can find us on social media. Where at, Jerry?
You can find us on Facebook at Nerdom and Knowledge Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at NerdumK. You can follow us on Instagram at Nerdom and Knowledge Podcast, where we actually have posts up. You can also find us at our website, nerdomandknowledge.com, where we will have a link to our merch store up very soon, which is at teespring.com/store/nerdom-and-knowledge. And of course, we can't forget that if you ever want to support us in a different way, you can go find us on Patreon, and James will tell you how.
You can go to patreon.com and you can search for Nerdom and Knowledge Podcast, and you can find us there where we already have a few donors, which we have already shouted out.
Yes.
And we have got nothing but just the utmost love and appreciation for those of you who have supported the show.
Yes.
And any of you that choose to become supporters of the show, that would be absolutely phenomenal. You will have our undying support, and you will get shout-outs and be on the Wall of Fame.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you, for anybody who's still listening right now, this was a long podcast.
We basically are interviewing people from 2 different time zones.
Yes.
3 different areas.
At 3 different times of the day.
Yeah.
And recording the other parts in between. And then, so tonight when we get done, I got to put all this puzzle together.
Now, I'm going to take a minute right here. I didn't tell Jerry I was going to do this, but I am going to do this. Jerry is the man who edits our podcast.
I do.
And this man has a knack. See what I did there? NAK?
Yeah.
Oh,
he did the thing.
I did the thing.
He did the thing.
But Jerry has a knack for turning chicken shit into chicken salad.
God, I love that expression. It's so good.
But yeah, what we record, normally we record like hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours, 2.5 hours sometimes.
Yeah, it gets long sometimes.
And he cuts out the bullshit, all of a sudden somebody knocks on the door, hey, I can't find my hairbrush. He cuts that out and still comes up with an amazingly phenomenal podcast.
Well, I couldn't do it without your velvety voice helping me out, sir.
No, you're the one with the velvety butter voice. By the way, Mothership of Chaos, we're still waiting on the ice cream.
Yes, and actually you have some competition because we got an email from somebody who said their mother makes homemade ice cream and she's willing to make some for us.
Uh-oh.
So I'm just saying.
It's just a race to the end. Who's going to get the velvety butter ice cream?
Get the velvety butter ice cream.
With
but no,
Jerry's
seriously,
face on the
guys,
box.
I know we said this at the end of every podcast here lately, but we couldn't do it without you guys. We appreciate you so much. You guys are like our heroes.
Yeah.
We thank you so much.
I mean, we get emails and we get feedback from people telling us how much they love the podcast, but you have no idea. We love you all so much more than you could ever know.
Yes.
Because it would be real easy if no one had listened for Anchor.fm to boot us and say you do not have enough support.
Yeah.
But we have enough support that they're letting us keep going.
Yeah.
And that is because of you listening. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you
from
so
the
much.
bottom of our hearts.
Having said that, enter the damn
Contest.
contest so we can give you stuff. We're begging you to let us give you things.
Why are we having to beg you to let us give you
It
things?
shouldn't be this hard. If we know
it's
you're
not,
listening.
It's not like we're in a white van trying to ride up to your house and give it to you. We're going to mail it to you.
Yeah, just kidding. There's no candy. But anyway, no, seriously. Like, we want to give you stuff, and we know you're listening to the podcast, but we don't see the number of people listening, entering. And there's a definite distinction there. So please understand, we want to give you. This box is real. If we have to put a picture up of it so you can see all the crap inside of it, we will do that, okay? But we want to give it to you. Please enter the contest so we can give it to you.
And what is next week's topic, folks? Well, we will tell you later.
Yes.
We will be announcing that on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Yes, because like I
in
said,
a couple of days.
we got to do the trivia tonight to find out who's going to pick our topic, and then we will be good to go.
So with that, folks, I am James.
And I am Jerry.
And this has been Nerdom and Knowledge.
First in your podcast list.
Last picked in Dodgeball.
We will catch you guys later.
See you soon. Okay.
Whew. All right, we got a few minutes.
Yep. Not long, but we got a few.
Yep.
Okay.